All right. Good morning. Looks like I got sent to OBS at least. You need to shuffle around a few more windows here. Okay. So, yeah, I think we're good there. So good morning, everybody. My name is Tim. I go by FoamyGuy on GitHub and Discord. We generally work on CircuitPython related stuff on this stream. Let's see, I don't have my usual tab pulled up here, but if you're new or you're catching this in the future and you don't know what I'm talking about, CircuitPython, the main website for it is here, circuitpython.org. This is a good place you can come to learn more about it. Basically, this is a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. There's a bunch of pictures of them over here on this page. These, when you plug them into the computer, they will show up like a thumb drive. There's a code file on there, code.py file on there. You edit that file in whatever text editor you want. You save it, and then this device will execute the new version of the code. So that's kind of the super quick, high-level look at what we're working with. More specifically, I am interested in devices kind of like this one, which is a little handheld game device. There's a number of these devices that, again, are kind of different shapes and sizes, different form factors. There's another one of them there that's kind of more vertical with the screen there. There's also a handful of others like PyBadge, which are similar to the first one, but different in some ways, like buttons instead of joysticks. But there's lots of these devices which have, a little handheld game form factor. So specifically what I'm trying to do is build a library that will let us take inputs from the common buttons amongst all these different devices in the same way, so that if you want to make a game, you can try to make a game that will work on all of them, and your code will hopefully not have to really worry about the differences too much between which actual pins are the buttons on. Are they on a shift register or direct, or is it a joystick or whatever? Hopefully your game code will be able to just work on all the devices without you having to worry about that. There will be other differences that you certainly will have to take into account, and deal with, like the size of the screen, for instance, right? This is a square screen. I think it's 240 by 240 or something like that. Whereas, back to the first one, this is a rectangle for one thing, so it's different aspect ratio, and it's not as many pixels. I forget the exact count, maybe 128 by 64 or something. I don't remember the exact number on this one, but it's not the same, I don't think, as the Pico system. So, there are still going to be differences. Your game is still going to have to account for that in some way. But I'm hoping to make it so that the controls at least are off your plate. You can just say is the up button being pressed or whatever, and it will figure it out for you. Let's see. Anything else for the intro? So circuitpython.org, like I said, that's where you can go to learn more. CircuitPython is an open source project, so anybody is allowed to use it. Anybody's allowed to help develop with it. Anybody's allowed to port it to their own devices. It is primarily funded by this company, Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. They are a hardware and software company based out of New York, and they're paying the team of folks who work on the CircuitPython project. There's a team of folks who get paid full-time to work on the project. There are many folks like me who get paid part-time to work on the project, and all of it is thanks to Adafruit. So if you want to help support the project, one of the ways you could do that is just by heading over to adafruit.com and purchase some hardware from them. Okay, let me do one more thing here real quick. Actually, I'm going to bring this back. Shuffle a few more things around here that we don't really need, that I don't really necessarily want up on this screen as well before I get too far into this. Okay, and we're back. So I started working on this yesterday, and I got through a couple of devices, and then I was working on the Pew Pew M4 device, and I noticed that my serial connection died, and I started trying to investigate that, and eventually locked up my computer. And so we had kind of an unceremonious ending to the stream yesterday. But I am back this morning to pick up where we left off, and in fact, I actually have made a few small advancements, I guess. I have both a hardware advancement in the form of this little reset button that I shoved in there so that I can more easily reset the device and hopefully be less likely to lock up my computer again. How's it going, Johnny Bergdahl and Jose David? Good morning to both of you. Well, it's morning in my time zone, I suppose. So this should be easier to install different versions here. I have also, on the software side, figured out, thank you to Retired Wizard, as well as to Shipu and Dan, who are working on this now, but let me make sure. Here, I think it was Retired Wizard. Yes, Retired Wizard. Got me pointed in the right path to figure out why the USB was disabled, which is because USB CDC was set to 0, which means disable, so it was just turned off. They are looking into changing it here, but I also have made a build where it is enabled on the build that I have, so we should be able to just go forward with the one that I made to keep working on the game controls thing. And then I also have another device here. Well, arguably, is it a device or is it multiple devices? So this is a Feather TFT on a Feather tripler, and then there is a joystick Featherwing there, or Featherwing joystick, I guess. Feather Joywing, it says. I thought it might be interesting to make a game controls implementation for this, even though it's not one device. It kind of makes a nice little neat form factor that's somewhat similar to this in ways. The screen is different size, obviously, but you could also have room in the middle there to attach another Featherwing to add some more interesting functionality to this. So I don't know. I don't know if I will make a game for this particular form factor or not, but I thought it would be cool to build the game controls implementation for it, just so that it kind of shows how you can implement this into some, wider array of hardware than just the devices that are out there. How's it going? Let's see, Paul SK, good morning, and Axel Magnus, nice evening code, nice. Gotta love some nice code in the evening, as well as the morning and the afternoon. As long as you don't code all three, that's the key. Okay, I'm gonna put the gloves on. I'm gonna plug this in. And I don't know which version am I on right now. I think the version that's loaded on there now should be one of the ones that does. Yeah, it does have it enabled, so we can use that. TO there. So I had this, we had started making this, but not really got into it. Okay, so I was gonna go get to the REPL and then run dir board in order to well, that's not gonna work. Is there a way I can fix this without erasing it? I think, can you do this? Not legit? Yeah, there we go. I often forget about the semicolon in Python. Like line separator. Semicolon is sort of like new line. We have just a button up left, down right, and then there is O, X, and Z. Did I start mapping out? So okay, yeah, I did map this out. And then it's create the keypad. And then I do think we want to use the A and B nomenclature here so that the API is the same across all devices, even though this one has them labeled differently on the pins And on the silk screen, the whole purpose of this particular library is to equalize all those differences. So we still are going to call two of the buttons A and B. Start and select we don't have, although we could use the Z button as start or select. Although I think I'm inclined to use... I guess we don't want to use X. I guess I would say maybe Y for the Z button, or else we just use Z, but... I mean, ultimately, we probably should let the user configure it. So the thing is, we have 3 buttons on this one. They're labeled O, X, and Z. We're going to use 2 of them as A and B so that they can match everything else. But then what do we do with the third one? I think we'll call the third one Y, but then ultimately we'll want to make a way for the user to actually specify. So the default configuration will be this, but the user could maybe pass another argument. The argument could be like, you know, set it up so that the Z button is actually X, and the, you know, maybe they switch around A and B, or maybe they change it however they want. But that way they can kind of choose it. I think that'll be the long-term goal. Made a graphic for JP. Nice. Just for fun, that has me in it. Oh, nice. Yeah, I see me there in the CNC. Oh, that is so cute. Man, we need to get we need to get those printed out. the official Adafruit CNC. That's lovely. Good morning, C. Grover. Okay. So we should, so this is still called Pico system. We're gonna want to fix that, but on that, this might be ready to test, I think. We've got everything set. Whoops. Right now, I think it's still asteroids. Or not. Oh, yeah, no, it is. Okay. Ah, not enough room. This one is smaller on the storage space size. See if we got anything we can get rid of here. Well, for one thing, let me grab a backup of all of it, which I will do after I open this up in one-click fashion. Need to make an actual shortcut that can just launch this from anywhere. Probably need to also make like a CircuitPython's backup directory. Okay, so we have a copy of everything that's there. A little too small. Images are the biggest, but I think those are used by the asteroid game. Lib is the second biggest. Image load, register. Most of that stuff is probably pretty necessary. There text in asteroid? Yeah. Alright, I think we cannot keep, I think we cannot keep a full copy of it. What I will do is keep one actually over here as well. And asteroids there. So then back to my actual device, I'll just overwrite CodePy. And then we could probably get rid of images as well for now. Okay. Now we should hopefully have enough room to put our game controls inside lib. Who are the folks above Scott and below PT? Let's see. Above Scott is Katney, directly above Scott, and then Dan above that, and then Lady Ada above that. Let's see. Below PT. To the left of PT, I think it's Aaron and Jeff. And then Noe. And then me. Yeah, I think it's Aaron. He does all kinds of cool like mermaid projects and stuff. If you search on, I don't know, can you search by person in Learn Guide? If you find Aaron's Learn Guides though, there's like all kinds of super cute mermaid and sparkly, just all kinds of amazing stuff with neopixels and costumes and everything. What do we get out of this one? Control C, hopefully? Yeah. No module named controls. Is that current? Yeah. Now paste it over there. Oops. There. Does it? Let's see. Maybe it's not set up in here. Okay, yeah, it's not set up in here. Yeah, because I was gonna get the board ID. That was the other thing I guess I was headed to do on the REPL last night. So let's go board. I like that as a one-liner. Well, okay, but that's actually not the one-liner I needed, so didn't actually work out in this case. Now we already have it imported, so we don't need that anymore. That's what I was trying to print. PPM4 underscore. The jellyfish are another cool one, yeah. Yeah, the latest stuff she's been working on is all underwater safe, underwater usable, which is like insane. System is not going to be that, but pew pew like that one. SWB. Oh, okay, maybe we are still set on the wrong... Did I not fix the pins? Oh, okay, yeah. So here's where we're gonna choose which one's which. So button, so B, I think we go with X, because if I recall right, I recall right, the idea was X was like the negative action, the cancel, the no. And then O was the success action, the yes, the okay. And I feel like, yeah, A is usually up and to the right from B. Okay, yeah, and O is up and to the right from X, so there's our BA, and then we have X, we actually just don't have an X. Means we'll end up having to change the constants here, I think. And for Y, we're gonna do, it's actually labeled Z. And then these are just button instead of SW. So I think all of these just go down one, and then everything else should still work. Oh, you know what I just realized is we didn't put X and Y. So on the Pico system, there's an X and a Y, and we did not put those in up here, but we probably should. And then I wonder if we should have like none. Or should we just not have them at all? I'm gonna take them out for now. It's worth considering how we want the behavior to work when a user asks for a button that doesn't exist on that device. Like, if you ask for the start button, but you're on a device without a start button, should it raise an exception? Should it print out a warning that says, hey, the start button doesn't exist, it's never going to be true? But not raise an exception? I think I lean towards the latter, but it's worth thinking about and actually honestly trying it out in code and seeing how the different behaviors work. Okay. Are we editing? Yeah, we're editing the one on the on my PC. I'm actually just gonna copy the whole thing again. So I copied it from the wrong spot. Except I've messed it up, haven't I? Because I put the init in here. It's not there. It's the dangers of the way that I set up the development environment. I'm gonna put that in there. Save that. I'm gonna close everything. Copy that. Delete that. Paste it to the device. Rather have a print statement that says button doesn't exist for this device. I always encounter button use errors, which are actually very helpful to let me know I'm doing something wrong. Include a list of available buttons in the error message. Oh, that's a good idea, yeah. For that device, it will say like available buttons are. Key error start. Okay, yeah, so my code, so I guess, yeah, we actually are already there. So maybe we should not only just be considering it, but starting to code around it a bit. So let's say, um, so we would, we would need to extend dictionary, I think, right? Our press dictionary right now, it's just a normal dictionary, which means it's going to raise a key error whenever you ask for a key that doesn't exist, because that's what dictionaries do. If we wanted to modify that, we kind of have two options. Either we make our own class, so a subclass of dictionary that behaves differently, or we have to add a function or a property to our class here, and then our user code would then be using that other property rather than accessing the dictionary directly. I like subclassing dictionary. Let it trigger something like dir board. No, I don't think I would like to do dir board. I think I want to print out only the known labels of these. Just because I don't want to overwhelm them with too much stuff. There won't be very many relevant buttons. There will be a few relevant pins that get printed out, but mostly it's just like trying to be like, hey, this device, no matter what pins are, doesn't have a start button or a select button, regardless of whether it's like anything to do with the pins. If you name a pin wrong, you try to access on board. That I could see that being kind of nice, like on board specifically. So if you go board D5 or whatever, and that doesn't exist, I don't know, what does that do today? Attribute error. I wouldn't be opposed to this doing dir board here. Like if it said attribute error module has no D5 and then it printed out this list, that I'd be pretty on board with, I think, unless there's some downside that I haven't considered, but it seems pretty helpful to me in that case. Yeah. Self instance owner? I've never done this before. Should it Field? Kind of assume that's the way it works. Not import. Put this on the one on my computer. No, that didn't work. Yeah. The other thing to consider might be size. If that adds any additional size, I don't know exactly how it works out, but I do know some of the boards are on the not much extra space side of things. The good news is, though, that's a problem that kind of gets lesser as time goes on. We get bigger and bigger boards with more and more space, although we do keep using it up as well. BRB, I got to put up the sun blocker. Okay. So it did not print from inside of our getter. That did not work at all. How do we override dictionary? Which browser is this? How to perfectly override a dict. I don't know if we... Oh, get item instead of get. I see. Is that all one word? Okay, there we go. But then it was none, but that's because we didn't actually return anything here. So we would say, so we want, I think we want 2 checks. I think actually I want, okay, so if the field is not in keys, the first thing we want to do is check if it's a valid one that exists on any device. Valid, should we call them controls? I don't know. So if it's not in the dictionary, but it is in the valid buttons, device does not have a field button. So we'll say like this device does not have a start button. Else, if that was the case, then in this case we do want to raise. So if they ask for something even beyond all of these, then we do just raise our attribute. Excuse me, our key error. You just put a string of like field or? An 18. Oh, I'm not using the dictionary yet. Okay, hold on. So let's see. Called get. We still have none. Oh, I had never returned actually. Oh, wait a minute. This is going to be recursive, isn't it? Your board more rab. Yep. How do I need to call like super? Should I not be? I probably should not. Should I not be taking code from the question? Hmm. So that seems like the answer is not extend dictionary, but instead just keep a dictionary. In fact, it's not even a subclass. Do I care? I don't think I care that much, though. Super. Lower dict self underscore get item. Super. And then my class name, which is controls dictionary self dot get item field. How will you deal with joysticks XY coordinates? Some game controllers have multiple joysticks too. No. Well, I'm not sure what you mean XY coordinates, like keeping track of a cursor on the screen, if that's what you mean. That would be up to a different piece of code. This one is not I mean, at least starting out, my intention is that this one is not not keeping track of anything other than the hardware interaction. And so the cursor, like where the position XY on the screen is at any given time, that I think needs to be higher up probably. There is a library called, I think, Cursor Control, which is an implementation of that, and you can hook it up to either a D-pad with buttons or a joystick. And so I would say probably what we want is for games that want to be able to do that, we would make it so that our game controls object can work with cursor control and then let it manage the location and stuff. Use of super may be different on CPython. That's cool. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see if it works. Last I remember, the use of self with it, then working with CPY, I ran into something with multi-subclassing. It's only for built-ins, worked as expected for non-built-ins. I mean, naming, because I didn't see a convention. Well, so the joysticks, I mean, we're abstracting away the joysticks, is the way this is written initially. When you're using this library, you don't get to know anything about the joysticks. The only thing you get to know is like the up button is being pressed. So the joysticks are being converted into a D-pad essentially. So you're losing resolution. You don't actually get the full analog joystick value. So if your game wants to make use of that, then you'll have to do something a bit different. I will probably want to set it up to where that's an option, like you can disable the mimicking of the D-pad and instead use your joysticks directly. But essentially the primary purpose of this is to smooth out all those differences. And in order to be able to smooth out those differences, we kind of have to cater to lowest common denominator, which means we kind of have to, like, even though we have a joystick, we kind of have to dumb it down to just a D-pad, since we have other devices that only have a D-pad. Hopefully that makes sense. I've converted joysticks positions into up-down. Yeah, that's exactly what is going on here with the joystick. So like Pygamer, it reads it as analog because it's an analog joystick, but then when it gives data back to the user, it's actually just putting it down to a Boolean by having a built-in level check. If it's above this, then it's true. If it's below that, then it's false. So yeah, it gets abstracted away. The analog nature of the joystick gets abstracted, and if you're using this, again, the way it's written right now, then you're only seeing it kind of as a D-pad, essentially. Okay, we did go recursive there, it looks like, and then ran out of stack. So I guess we do then maybe change to the has a dictionary instead of is a dictionary. Why would this not be dict? This feels like it should be dict, right? Super has no get item. Super isn't subscriptable. All right. I guess then let's just not extend anything, and instead let's go definite. That means we can't declare it as a literal dictionary either, which is kind of a bummer. I guess we could accept a literal dictionary as an argument. Then it doesn't really change that much. dictionary. Yeah. Self.store lookup field. This won't be self store.keys. Maybe we'll need a set item as well. Key value. Let's go self.store key value. Okay, now we're back to just key error start, but that's because we haven't started using our new special dictionary yet. I do want to test it a little bit more though, so that's creates a controls dictionary. Let's do it like this one. Let's not do test field. Let's just print A to start with. Should be false. Okay. And then let's get rid of start and select, and then let's ask for start. We should get our warning. This device does not have a start button. But then if we go like something totally bogus, like test field, which now doesn't exist at all, then we should still get our key error test field. Yeah. And if we wanted to go one step further, we could actually say if key not in self valid buttons raise key error? Is it still a key error? I mean, kind of, I guess. But that's expecting us just to give it the key. Could we give it a larger message? Because this one's a bit different. Looks like it maybe just passed a full string. Now if you try to set one with a bogus thing, it will actually tell you as well. We tried now cd test field equals, nope. Here, test field's not a valid button name. Valid names are A, B, X, Y, up, down, left, right, start, select. Perfect. Ran into some limitations subbing list. Not all dunders were available. Don't know if Dix has the same issue. Yeah, it seems like we did run into some trouble overriding, but I think this will basically do the same thing for us. Give us a thing that kind of feels a lot like a dictionary. Technically, there is a dictionary in there, but we have a little bit of special behavior. So now in our actual code inside of, well, it's technically inside of all of these. And 22 is first state. Oh. I don't know. Close all of these again. That should be controls dictionary. And that should be returning it there. This game controls base 75. We keep the start in it? Have start. This doesn't put start in it. So why would it think that that's true? One doesn't have start either, although this one I think is not really part of our test. Current progress on the cowbell enclosure, have the faceplate mount stuff of a flat faceplate. Oh, on the angle there on top of the black piece, basically. Huh. Pretty sweet looking. 6. Thinking it might not be big enough if someone wants to put on a larger display. Pretty good size. Look at for A. Device does not have a start button. Oh, I don't return. We need to return. That's the problem. Here we need to say just return. Also, this is going to make it spam a lot. Okay, so first of all, there's 2 Ys and no downs. Something has gone very wrong. Maybe that's the keyboard interrupt. Maybe the keyboard interrupt breaks the last one. That will make it print something a little bit better. Yeah. That's a little better. Where are we actually printing from now, though? Okay. There we go. Now we're not spamming. A button, B button, Y button doesn't work. Is it printing B maybe? Let's go A button, Y button. Nope, it's just not printing anything. Right button, down, left, up. The Y is the only one that doesn't work. The color flare out and project over the rear of the enclosure to accommodate the larger one off the back end, perhaps. Maybe make it taller with a steeper angle. Oh, I don't have the Y button in the that would do it, wouldn't it? There we go. Okay. Now we need to take the code from device, where I was editing it, close those, paste it back to here, overwrite all, and the latest version is there again. Cool. Okay, so Pew Pew M4 is working. I would like to do this one, I think. This one is kind of the odd one out of the group because instead of being all in one, it's actually a Feather TFT, which of course doesn't have any joystick or buttons or anything. I mean, it has a boot button, I guess, but that's it. Connected to the Joy Featherwing here, Feather Joywing. So this does have a joystick, A, B, X, Y, and start and select, although start and select are very small. So we basically have, it's actually the most buttons of all the devices we've done so far, because the only one we did with 4 action buttons was the Pico system, and it doesn't have a start and select. The Pi Badge and the Pi Gamer both do have a start and select, but they only have A, B, no X, Y. So this one will have the most buttons. This one is actually the most complete as far as like that list of buttons goes. I do not know how to interface with it though. I think it's I2C. What's the largest size display you might want to put on there? On the sequencer? I mean, I would probably tend towards a smaller display personally. I mean like a I would think a PyPortal size display is probably the biggest I would ever go. And frankly, I don't even think I would go that big, most likely. I do think I started using a PyPortal when I started building that separate display piece at one point, but then I eventually changed over to the Feather TFT. I think the Feather TFT is, I mean, it's on the smaller side, but it's plenty big. Anything even a little bit bigger than that would be fine, but certainly I think the standard PyPortal is like the absolute biggest that I would ever have any intention of making it. And even that, like, honestly, I probably go smaller. So I look at the display as kind of an extension of the LEDs, essentially. Like, it's I don't necessarily want the display to show me that much information. Just a little bit, because like ultimately in my case I'm always going to be using it with MIDI on the PC anyway, and so the PC is where a lot more of the nitty-gritty details are actually going to be in my particular use case, rather than like inside the device itself. So I would lean towards keeping that display relatively basic, in which case it doesn't need to be that big at all. The Feather TFT was good. A little bit bigger would not be bad at all. But anything much bigger than a PyPortal, I don't know really what else I would put on it. At some point, I'd probably just start packing too much data. It's because I got the space. TFT Featherwing is 2.5 by 3. That's the biggest one I have. It's the that's the life of a 3D printer enthusiast right there. always thinking about stuff after you got the print already out. I definitely done that several times myself. Wait, Featherwing. Feather. Oh, okay. It's backwards. So this says Joy Featherwing, but that says Feather Joywing on the actual silkscreen. Dun dun dun. It's product pick of the week. At some point. Wait, that's a steal for $5 if it was half off. It's a seesaw. This one actually has an interface closer to Ugame, where it's needing the bit masking thing going on there. So I think there's also a Featherwing library? The Joy Featherwing. See any reason not to use the Featherwing library, I think, right? Basically gonna have to re-implement all of this code if we don't use it, so... I mean, I guess... Check button. So it's not all of the code? Would not need 100% of it? But a fair portion of it we would end up essentially just re-implementing. Oh, okay, but it will be a bit trickier because of the way the import works, right? How do we do that? Because it's not going to have a valid one of these. Actually, that does make it pretty tricky. We might have to not do this like on import. We might need to make an actual constructor. Right now you just import it like this. I mean, hmm. We could check the I2C bus for the address of the seesaw, and then if we find that, we could assume that we're going to be using this Joy Featherwing, but that seems dangerous because you totally could have a different device with a seesaw, and you'd want to be able to set that up as well. We can't really just detect that. Titano seems to be about the same size as the TFT Featherwing. That's about as large as anyone would normally use. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like I said, I definitely wouldn't be going any bigger than that. Probably not even quite all the way up to it. Um, yeah, this gets tricky. I think we almost need like you can do something like this, I guess. It's a bit weird, but it's not the end of the world, I suppose. Something like that, and then in here for this one you would need to say like if game controls is none, then we need to do something else for it. I think that should be possible to work. But actually, I think I'm going to do Pico System as the copy for this one. So should we match the product title from the page or the silkscreen? I'm going to go silkscreen. It's direct with the seesaw. I want to use the library. We actually won't be using keypad, so I did not copy the right thing. We won't be using keypad. I don't know whether we'll need constances. So, I don't have key pins. This is actually going to be in here. Okay, BRB though. I'm gonna be right back. Okay. This time we have a wing. We don't have a keys. We don't have a key states. We don't need that. We do still want a pressed dictionary. We actually do need to go back to all those other classes and use our controls dictionary. Need to make that change for all of them. This one won't be called Pico System. Instead, it will be Joy Feather Wing Controls. And it does have ABXY start select. Up, down, left, right. This display feels like a good max size. 1.9 inch. Oh yeah. Actually, I think I just picked up one of these similar form factor with the iSpy connector, though. Does this one have that? Maybe it does. Back there. Show it wired with the breadboard on all of them. That might be kind of cool, though, because it's like oblong, kind of similar, gives a similar aspect ratio as the thing itself, which makes it kind of fit. Make it feel nice. Excuse me. And then it's super easy here. We just go wing, button A, button B, all of those things. And so in our code, it will just be when we call update dictionary, we just need to go self.wing.button B. Much the same as all of these. Okay. Actually, let's leave those alone for a minute. Let's do start and select first. Joysticks actually do need to be different. It's wing.joystick is going to give us a tuple. I wonder if the same values we used on the Pygamer would work. I don't know if the value range is going to be the same. Bigger displays means bigger delays. That's a very good point as well. Yeah, especially for the sequencer. If you have the more pixels you have to refresh, the more time it takes, and eventually you start slowing down the ability of the actual sequence to play. So the initialization of this one will be different because you won't just magically get it from the import. But I think you should be able to use it at least. As long as you initialize it. Well, actually you could import it from this maybe? Might be able to do that actually. Okay, let's get this thing plugged in. Ooh, I wonder if this is hard faulting. So I was experimenting a little bit last night with multi-screen on this device unsuccessfully. I was trying to add a secondary screen above and beyond the one that's built in, but I ended up with some weird hard fault stuff. I think it maybe doesn't work on that device. The test is going to be similar to this. It won't be the exact same, but similar. Take our game controls, put it inside lib. And so, I mean, I guess if we know that that's what we're doing, we could actually say, can we say from game controls dot feather joywing import game controls? Work? Data code fragment? Yeah, don't worry about it. Save that. Go module featherwing. Whew. I guess it does kind of make sense. Wonder if I could get by with just the ones I need. Okay, there we go. Supported hardware. We did get that thing. Has no object buttons. Seems fair. It's not actually have an object buttons, so. Well, yeah. We don't do updates. I guess we just do update dict, right? We don't need anything else. Why is this mad? Oh. Featherwing has no button start. Yep, no, we gotta close everything. We're looking at the right thing. 33? Button start? Really? Fair enough. Does that not start? Oh, okay. Fair enough. That's a reset button. That is a reset button, not a start button. Apparently you do actually have to read the silk screen in order to know what's on there. Honestly, it's way better to figure that out now than when you try to use it and actually just press reset, right? You're like trying to pause your game, you just press reset. Okay. That's actually a good thing then that it warned us, so... Oh. Okay, yeah, no, our joystick doesn't look good. And our other things don't seem to be working either, but it's possible that we're just getting spammed out too much from the joystick. Let's comment those out and then just go like this for now. You should see it spam. Device does not have a start button. There. Okay. So those are way lower than the other things that we were working with before. So that's a negative 128 to positive 128 range there. So what do we think? So 2 to 3 is kind of not being pressed at all. I mean, do we need to go any more than like 10 or 20? Something like that. Something like that's probably fine, I think. Oh, let me catch up. Debugging hard faults. Oh, that's true. Yeah, past him has got a little bit of experience with that. Even on that device is actually one of the easier devices as well, because it just has the debug pin, right? You just need the USB UART thingy. Spent an inordinate amount of time with every TFT display for the VCO module project. You just spit that out there without explaining why you would do that to yourself. Looking for the maximum size / resolution display for a narrow rack module. Balancing act of available PCB real estate versus and design proportions, and then versus the size of the display. First, I only wanted a circle to show, so the orientation of the margins were tricky. Yeah, if you got a mask on the corners there or something. So let's say up is, you know, I didn't look at the... okay, I didn't look. So up is... well, okay. Busted off the cap. Not really busted off, it's just press fit. Okay, it's kind of hard, I guess. Probably super glue it, little dab. So, one thing that strikes me as very, very, very odd is that this is actually YX. Because when I move the joystick up, the first value goes positive. When I move the joystick down, the first value goes negative. When I go right, the second value goes positive. When I go left, the second value goes negative. Am I crazy, or is that backwards? That does say XY. Interrupt. I mean, I can just change it, but it feels backwards to me, kind of. Different range of values. Yeah, I don't know. It feels swapped to me, but doesn't matter, I suppose. So, yeah, run that by me again. So first value goes positive when we go up. First value. You know, I'm gonna switch these. I'm gonna confuse the heck out of myself if I don't rename these. So when the y is greater than, let's just say like maybe 30, then we're going up. If the y is less than negative 30, so then left is negative as well. I gotta go move the sun blocker. Okay. A button, B button. That one's not working. X is not working. Y is not working. Probably they're just not in the code, I think. So let's try the D-pad now. Down, left, right, up. Very good. X and Y, that's probably just because we don't have them here. There we go. There we have it. So we did change the code here, so let's copy that back. To make round I2C displays. I want to mess with wiring, writing drivers settled on a 1.54 inch, close to a square. Okay. Trying to think, what do I want to do next? Do I want to cookie cut a repo? I think I'm gonna wait. I think I'm gonna wait and ask if this should be basically community bundle or Adafruit bundle. I definitely intend to use it in guides. Kind of my original reason for sitting down to do this is that one of my guides does not currently work with the current version of CircuitPython, so like I would want to use it in this guide. I think in this one I did UGame. Yeah. I would want to use it in here. And then honestly, probably the octopus game as well, right? Probably the octopus game as well. What did I end up using in this one? Keypad. So I just did it directly with keypad. But if we used this controls library, then the octopus game becomes more portable. So I do like that. Self-imposed design constraints, nice. The circle. Am I imagining it right? You're kind of thinking like a circle display over top of that circle that's on the top half of that thing? Animating the dial. Ooh. So yeah, I will ask if there is any opinions on Adafruit bundle versus community bundle or not. If not, then I will just probably go with community bundle. If they wanted an Adafruit one, then we'll put it there. But realistically, we got to know that before we cookie cut. So if I were to cookie cut now, then we might just have to redo it again later. Maybe one thing I could do is in the interim, I could at least publish this to GitHub just so it's like somewhere other than my computer. Should we put it inside the folder? Maybe we should still have the game controls folder. Technically, simple test should probably be outside as well, because you don't really need the simple test in your lib folder. Might as well just make an examples as well. Add all that stuff. Commit. Commit. No, we don't want that. Does git ignore inside the idea folder? Interesting. I've already ruined this by adding. Okay, we do want that, git ignore. We don't want anything inside idea. Okay. That is published. You know what I forgot to mention towards the top of the stream? This person posted this in the help with channel. Person Peter Bay posted this, font verin.eu, which is actually really cool. This is a web application that allows you to generate font icons and glyphs that you can then use in your code. So it's got a lot of icon fonts, which is really nice because a bunch of this stuff we don't necessarily have a super easy way to display today, other than if you copied it as a bitmap or whatever. You choose your icons, you click generate. This generates you this thing here. And then with that code, you can actually substitute that in using the code that's here. Change out these things, I think. And then you're able to actually draw those things on your screen. Now, I will say this is using the FrameBuff API rather than Display.io. But as far as I know, this actually is like now the only way. Like, this is new functionality. I don't think you used to be able to use custom fonts at all with FrameBuff, to the best of my knowledge. So this actually gives you an avenue to be able to do that, specifically with all these icons here, as well as a couple of these text fonts here. And they're all permissively licensed. So this is a really cool looking project that they put in the help with. I actually meant to write back to them and say they should submit it to the newsletter. So I do want to try that out at some point, because that seems super cool. And I think it might be interesting. I don't know how practical it is, but I'm kind of curious about, are those vector fonts? I don't know what the actual root font is, but it does give you size control here. So you do get some ability to go bigger or smaller. It does cap out at 30, I've seen. There is some. So I mean, the like root font must be vector in some way, but then it essentially generates it down to just this code, which is like a representation of it. They actually talk about it here, the custom format that it is, but it basically breaks down into kind of a bitmap representation, it looks like, of zeros and ones, but I don't know if it would end up being practical or not, but I'm actually kind of interested in trying to make a go-between layer, if so to speak, that would basically make a bitmap that exposes the frame buff interface so that you could actually use old frame buff API code that's written to work with that older display style. But instead of having it hooked up to a hardware display, you could actually have it inside a bitmap in display I/O. So you could kind of use code written for the older non-display I/O displays, but have it draw into a bitmap, which is then shown with display I/O. Which, if that piece existed, that would actually allow us to take this stuff and the example code here and use it within display I/O. We already have a custom font thing in display I/O, right? Bitmap font is the library that can load BDF fonts and things like that. So there are some ways to do it. However, there are lots of icons that are not just present in random fonts as far as I know. So you'd have to track down the font file that has this stuff. This would actually give us an avenue to use it, even in display I/O, if that piece existed. So I am interested in that, but I don't think that I'm going to do it right now. The other thing that I still kind of have in the fire, so to speak, iron in the fire, is the bitmap tools. I implemented the boundary fill as well as draw line a few nights ago, which leaves the actual like more difficult ones are the ones that are left, like the roto zoom, the alpha blend, and stuff like that. I think at some point I will attempt to bring those over as well, and I'll probably do that on stream because that'll be kind of down in the weeds of, I think I'm going to have to just try to like look at the C code and implement it in Python. I was looking around for Python implementations of those algorithms. I'm sure they're out there, but I was not having much success in finding it. So that'll be an exercise in, kind of adapting C code over to Python. I figure it'll be kind of fun, but I think I'm also not necessarily going to work on that right now either. I'm thinking I may actually just sign off here pretty quick. It's looking kind of nice out, and I may go out, take a walk, and get some nice fresh air. I'll mention too, actually, the one other thing which I want to get into sometime before too long is I actually picked up one of these recently. When this came out, I missed the boat on it. They were sold out too quick, and I didn't end up getting one. But I just got an order this week where I got a couple of these things in. Somebody was asking in Discord the other day how to use this with LED animation. I think they ended up solving it, actually. Oh no, can I see old threads? Wait, can I see old threads? Oh no. Here we go. I think they ended up figuring out how to do it. Oh, and they even left an issue, actually, with an example. So what we need here is we want to make a PR to basically put this into the examples folder. They were trying to figure out how to use this thing with LED animation. It turned out there was not an example for that yet. I tried to help them a bit in the Discord, but I made a couple false assumptions about how it worked, but they eventually did get it worked out. So now we can go back and actually add the example into the repo, so that way the next person can find it inside there. And And I'm curious to try it a few different ways as well, because it turned out that it needed this pixel buff adapter thing. I was thinking it was supposed to be possible without that, so I don't know. I still need to dive into that one a bit and figure out, because this would actually be the first time I've ever really used the IS31 chip thing there. I have not messed with the glasses or anything else at all yet either, so that's kind of a couple of different things I have in mind. With all that being said, I think I will probably sign off for now. I'm thinking I'll probably be back sometime tomorrow to stream and work on some of that stuff. So if you're interested, you can follow me over on the Twitch. You'll get notifications for that. But otherwise, either way, I should probably be back on Monday at some point as well for CircuitPython, CircuitPython Day, not actual CircuitPython Day, but CircuitPython Day within my week at least. So I'll probably pop on at some point on Monday as well. Hope everybody has a good day, good rest of your day and rest of your weekend and all of that stuff. Thanks for hanging out here in the chat. Thanks for just being cool and making this community awesome. Appreciate all of you. I will see you next time.